Hello, nerds! Thank you for joining me here on Nerd News Clips. This is the second channel. This is the place for all of the short-form content as well as the individual sections and just generally speaking smaller things. If you are into the longer form content, youtube.com/generallynerdy is the place to go see that. With that out of the way, let's get into this. Now we're going to get into TV streaming. So first we're doing follow-ups. This first follow-up, or correction, no, follow-up. First follow-up that we have is one that honestly was supposed to go in last week's episode, but I skipped it in the notes because sometimes that still happens apparently. Twisted Metal, the TV series that we have been keeping tabs on that's going to star Anthony Mackie, is now going to Peacock and not Showtime. So very interesting. Our next follow-up has to do with God of War. There is negotiations act. This is not rumor. I've seen some places report on this as rumor. This is not rumor. This is confirmed as being legitimate. There is negotiations. Will the negotiations come through and it will actually happen? Who knows? But there are negotiations between Sony and Amazon Prime for a live-action God of War series to go onto Amazon Prime. So that's pretty huge. It will be joining Mass Effect and Fallout over on Amazon Prime. So Gotham PD is our next follow-up. Gotham PD is kind of, sort of no more. Matt Reeves has recently done an interview where he's talking about how Gotham PD actually has kind of morphed into something else, and now it is going to be called Arkham Asylum, which is interesting because that also is a comic book. So are they going to dip a little bit into the territory, the psychological territory of the comic book? Are they just going to do something that feeds more into the Matt Reeves Batman universe? We don't know exactly yet because he was still pretty vague on details, but that is where Gotham PD sits. It is no more. And then we have a little bit of a follow-up on the Bel Air series, which I still am riding the fence on. We have a little bit of a cast reunion. We have the original Aunt Viv and Will's mom from the original series are going to be making cameo appearances in the next episode of Bel Air. It's going to be airing on March 24th. The name of the actresses, before I forget, is Daphne, Maxwell Reid, and Vernee Watson-Johnson. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled if you're watching the Bel Air series for a little bit of a cast reunion thing. Not really reunion, but cameo. But that is what we have for follow-ups and corrections. So now let's get into trailers. We did get one new trailer that has me super hype, and that is Shorzy is coming to Hulu and what is the Crave is the Canadian. So Shorzy is getting a spinoff series from Letterkenny, and if you know anything about Letterkenny, that's just going to be that much more ridiculous. We do finally see Shorzy's face in this trailer, it would seem. So the old gag of not being able to see Shorzy's face ever is going right out the window because he's going to be the star of the show. I feel like in this situation, that's probably the only way you could do that because there's no science fiction helmet to be wearing saying this is the way. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. Go watch the trailer. It's very, very short. It's absolutely worth a watch. But we're moving into actual news for TV streaming, and that is Letterkenny is starting us off. We got a new episode of Letterkenny. I have not yet watched it. It is International Women's Day special episode. I can only imagine what's going to be happening there, but absolutely super hype about that because anything new with Letterkenny is always good. We are still waiting for season 10. 10, 11, 10? I don't remember. I get too excited and forget numbers. Anyway, so our next piece of news has to do with The Walking Dead. We have another announcement of a Walking Dead spinoff. This one is going to be called Isle of the Dead. It's going to take place on the island of Manhattan, and our main characters are going to be Maggie and Negan? I really need to catch up on Walking Dead. I never picked up the second half of the last season. I'm so far behind. Anyway, yeah, I don't understand exactly how that's going to happen, but Lauren Cohen and Jeffery Morgan both have signed on to come to this show. That's huge. It is going to be on AMC and AMC Plus in 2023 is the goal. So that is everything for the news on TV streaming. Let's get into TV streaming suggestions. And it's one suggestion, but it's a big suggestion, and that is Letterkenny. If you have not watched these, I believe there is actually 10 seasons of Letterkenny now. It might be 9, but I think it's 10. If you have not watched these seasons, every episode is super short. The seasons are relatively short in and of themselves, especially the most recent season. It's only 6 episodes, 20 minutes per episode. It's an hour to watch the entire season. It's one of the funniest things on television. You absolutely must go watch it. This is like if Kevin Smith were writing It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but he grew up in very rural Canada. This is the show that he would have done. So it's absolutely worth your time. Once again, this has been just a brief segment from the larger episode that has been posted over on the main channel, youtube.com/generallynerdy. Go over there for the long form content, or just subscribe here if you want it in bite-sized chunks. Thank you very much for joining me, nerds. We'll see you in the next one. Before we go though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.